This is the CreaseCast.
New CreaseCast for this Saturday afternoon. Hi everybody, it's just me in the studio today. The studio being the video setup we have for the show, because obviously we haven't done a single episode in person for this entire pandemic. That makes sense. Sorry we're coming at you a little bit late today. Listen, it's been a bit of a week for me. I have spent a lot of late nights working on some stuff that I'm very excited about that you guys are going to get to see pretty soon. And just generally going to bed at a relatively not so great time for you to be going to bed every single night. On Friday night, I was actually, I actually saw an opportunity to go to have an actual proper good night's sleep at a normal time, and I decided I needed to take that opportunity. So hopefully you guys can forgive me for the show coming out on your Saturday afternoon, recording it this afternoon, and coming out to you before tonight's Canucks-Oilers game, the final game of their 4-game set, their final meeting of the season, I do believe. All that's left after this is a lot of games against Calgary and Winnipeg. But there is an opportunity at stake here for the Canucks, be there as it may, and that is to not only to possibly extend any sort of a hope of a playoff series, of making the playoffs, because of course those are becoming farther and farther away. I believe right now, because Montreal won the other night, and the Canucks won the other night, it is still technically possible for Vancouver to make the playoffs. As soon as Montreal gets 2 points, though, it's over. So you have to hope that Montreal loses out for the entire rest of the way, and the Canucks win out entirely for the rest of the way. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that that's probably not going to happen. Okay, so there is one more game against Edmonton after this. Okay, so there are 2, but this has been a whole week where it's just 4 straight games against the Oilers. We've gotten pretty sick of them, especially after the first 2 games, the 5-3 loss on Monday, the 4-1 loss on Tuesday, and then, seemingly out of nowhere, the Canucks actually come out and win 6-3 over Edmonton on Thursday. And there's a lot of things we're going to get into today about that game and just how nuts it was. In terms of giving out the Infinity Gauntlet, for this week, for this show, there are lots of people who I can hand it to. In fact, this whole episode might frankly just be one extended Infinity Gauntlet of sorts. But I feel like if we're going to give it to anybody today, there is very clearly one person who went above and beyond for the Canucks on Thursday. Someone who just came out of left field to have an incredible game that really benefited Vancouver for what they needed to do on Thursday and to really provide a statement. And that was Mikko Koskinen, 4 goals on 4 shots. Oh, Mikko, what are you doing, man? That was a rough game to watch as a goalie. That was a very rough night. Or I should say about 5 minutes for Koskinen. 4 goals on 4 shots, leaves the game with a save percentage of 0-0-0. Oh, just an all-around mess for him. But you know what? He really did his job for Vancouver. He really came through in the clutch there for them. Yeah, I mean, it's 4-0 by, the first 10 minutes of the game? Like, within the first 10 minutes, it's already 4-0. Koskinen has smashed his stick in half on the post. Mike Smith comes in, doesn't do, I would say, all that much better. He was better than Koskinen was, but as far as a good goaltending performance was, I wouldn't necessarily chalk that up to one of his best either. He had a couple iffy moments that ended up costing them and putting them farther behind the 8 ball in the later stages of the game. Although you could make the argument game was already out of hand, it didn't really matter. But Vancouver walks away with a 6-3 victory, thanks in large part to just a Oh, I'm not going to dunk on him too hard. Poor Koskinen. I mean, he's probably not going to start many games from here on out. I mean, how many games more do they even have left? Do the Oilers even have left? I imagine it's pretty close to done. They've got only 4, and then the playoffs, and I imagine he will not start much during the postseason for Edmonton when they go up against Winnipeg and whoever else stands in their way, probably a Toronto. But as far as from an actual Canucks standpoint, if we really want to talk about some people who had just incredible games for the Canucks, there's a lot of people you can go to. I mean, we can just go straight through the list here. I mean, but I guess if we're going to start with anybody, we have to start with Jack Rathbone. Defenseman, kid, playing in his second game, Harvard boy, had a decent night under sheltered minutes in his first game against Edmonton. It was a question of, what is he going to do if you give him a little bit more opportunity and room? And sure enough, just 4 minutes into that game, a puck gets stolen by the third line, just having a good opportunity, and Rathbone gets a clear shot away and scores his very first NHL goal. I mean, what a great moment. Edmonton is proving this season to be a very good spot to be a Canucks rookie if you want a goal. That's where Nils Höglander got his first goal, and now you got Rathbone coming in. And if you want to talk about players who aren't rookies scoring their first goal as well, Travis Hamonic scoring his first goal as a Canuck, first goal of the season, also against Edmonton on Thursday. He had a good game all his own. His goal was a little bit more fluky than Rathbone's was. Rathbone was just a clear, nice shot. Whereas Hamonic's was just a shot that Koskinen got a piece of. It flips over his head and into the net. Talk about your lucky bounces. But overall, I mean, for Rathbone to come into to that second game and come up with a great opportunity and take advantage and score that goal is awesome. And it's just, again, it's you're hoping it's the shape of things to come for him. He picked a spot, he had his opportunity and took it, and now the Canucks have a situation where finally it looks like the defense situation, at least on that left-hand side, is clearing up a little bit. Because there was a little worry, are we overhyping this guy just a little bit too much? Are we giving him more credit and having higher expectations of what he's capable of than we should be giving, than we should? Nope, he's very clearly proving that he's ready to go, and this is where he belongs. He belongs in the NHL already. Hadn't played a lot in Utica just because of all the quarantine stuff and everything. I believe he only ended up playing I don't think he got to double digits. He might not, I don't believe so. I will check Elite Prospects as I talk here, and see just how many he finished up with. But he's provided more stability for that blue line where it just hasn't been all year. It just has not been there. There have been guys jumping in and out of the lineup, like Levy, obviously Jordy Ben until he was traded. You look at Jalen Chatfield, just a bunch of defensemen kind of trying to rotate through and being like, good Lord, we're never going to find a sixth. There's never going to be a bona fide number 6. Or really, for that matter, a bona fide, number 4, guy who should be playing top 4 minutes. And Rathbone's not there yet. He only had 12 minutes of ice time against the Oilers on Thursday. But as the season kind of comes closer to a conclusion, and likely that will be tonight, I imagine it would be, I would not be surprised if, at least one of Montreal winning or the Canucks losing happened tonight. That's all it takes, right? It only one of those outcomes needs to happen for the Canucks playoff chances to officially disappear. And as far as the rest of the season goes, there will be more opportunities. There's plenty of games left for him where it's like, okay, he'll get his chances and he'll get a lot more ice time than he's been getting in these last few games. But Utica, he only played 8 games. I was not wrong. He played 8 games, had 9 points. He's doing okay, guys. He's doing okay. I mean, what else can you say with Rathbone? It's very clear that he is getting that he's in the right spot right now, and that he should be playing this time in the NHL. Maybe you'd like to see him with a different defensive pairing, or at least getting some time with someone else. Like right now, obviously, they have to kind of put Edler and Schmidt together because I don't know if you want Edler with Myers right now. I don't think that's a good option. And that is kind of the biggest problem here, is that right side is just such a mess right now in terms of like what they have at their disposal. There's not really much you can do because you don't really want to put Myers with Edler. You definitely don't want that. And you don't want him playing with Hughes either. Because Hughes is clearly the offensive spark plug on defense. And yet when Tyler Myers gets the puck, he immediately is like, okay, I'm Bobby Orr, and I'm going to try and skate this right to the net. So you can't have him on the ice, really, at the same time as Quinn Hughes, because then you know that there are going to be lots of times where Hughes, despite being the better scoring option, is going to get ignored by his own partner because his partner thinks that he's got the best opportunity to put the puck in the net. So you don't really have a lot of choices. So it makes sense that he is playing with Rathbone right now, but you hope that maybe they find an opportunity for him to get some ice time with, say, like a Nate Schmidt or maybe even a Travis Hamonic, although I kind of like the Hamonic-Hughes pairing as far as the rest of the season is concerned. I don't mind that at all. I would like to see him get some time with Schmidt. If I had to pick somebody, I think he would be the person that I think could really benefit. I think those two as a unit could be a very good group going into next season. I think that would be possibly your second pair. Like your guaranteed second pair for next season would be Rathbone and Schmidt. And I think they'd look pretty good together if you put them there in that spot. Yeah, I think that would be a good place for him. And then it comes back to the question of who do you find for Quinn Hughes? Who do you put alongside him? And that's going to take some time. That's going to take some looking and probably some free agent shopping or a trade. But there are options out there for who you can put with Hughes. Because again, I think Hamonic should probably not be playing as much ice time as he's been getting. But hey, he got his first goal as a Canuck, so maybe that's the turnaround they needed. Although again, Hamonic hasn't been all that bad. It's just that he's playing a lot more, and he's playing in a role that on a healthy, well-built, constructed roster he wouldn't be. You know, like he would be your third pairing guy. He would be in Tyler Myers' spot right now, on a healthy, well-rounded team. He would not be playing in the position where he's playing, I believe, like generally speaking, first pairing minutes for a lot of time, just because of he's playing 15 minutes. So he's playing closer to the bottom pairing as it is, but he is getting paired with Hughes a lot. So you got to find something to do there. You got to find a place to maybe put him on that third pairing. I don't know if you want him with Rathbone necessarily, because again, really it's that Myers contract, that Myers thing, just making things a lot tougher, because I don't know where I would put Tyler Myers. As good as he has been at eating up a lot of ice time, I don't really know where I'd put him in this group. If I had the say and I had options at my disposal, but you can't not play him because you're paying him $6 million a year. That's all. You know what? We don't need to get into this today. The Canucks won. Let's save the Tyler Myers stuff for a day that's a lot more sad. We'll figure that out another time. In the meantime, congrats to Jack Rathbone, scores his first NHL goal, and shout out to Travis Hamonic as well, who got his first as a Canuck. Two defensemen who have really stood out in that game, and who really, despite their clearly the least amount of ice time and least amount of opportunity to make a difference in that game, they did it, and they took advantage of a goalie who is having an off night, and sometimes that makes a difference. That makes all the difference. You gotta find your opportunities. You gotta see when a goaltender's not playing at their best, and you just take advantage. That's what good players do. Another guy who I would give a lot of credit to, and I guess you could kind of give credit to that whole line here is Tyler Graovac. Guy comes in again. We were he hasn't played in a long time. Hasn't played in the NHL in a long time. I think his last game was back in 2019. Just to give you an idea of how long it's been since Tyler Graovac was in the lineup for the Canucks. And I think he got knocked out by an injury. So, and even before, I think he had done all right. He had done okay. Like, he had a couple points, and the team was having a little bit of injury trouble, but overall doing all right. And here comes Tyler Graovac. He was playing. Oh, he had 9 points in 9 games with the Manitoba Moose on loan this year. 6th game as a Canuck, scores his first NHL point since last season. Since he had 2 points in 8 games last year. Hey, good for him. That third line. And this has been kind of a talking point for the last 3 games or so, and is the fact that they've been using a third line, they've been basically using a third line of Tyler Gravak centering Matthew Highmore and Jace Hawryluk, and we talked about this in the last episode, how as much as Brandon Sutter brought veteran presence to that third line, and that fourth line that bottom 6 looks very depleted right now. I have mentioned before that they look a little faster. They don't look out of place. They don't look as out of place as I think they did before. I think they look a lot quicker. They look tough, harder on pucks. It looks like they're getting caught a lot less in their own end of the ice, as, say, the Sutter-led lines were, because Sutter is a little bit older and a little bit slower, and Jay Beagle I'd put in that same category of guys who are good and have played for a long time, but they're very clearly just can't keep up at this pace anymore over the long stretch of time, and obviously past a COVID situation as well. And it's hard to blame them for that. It's more about the fact that it's like, time catches up to you in all cases. This younger group looks a little better. It's not, granted, still not necessarily NHL fantastic quality better, but better. Definitely a marginal upgrade. And I think Graovac-Hawryluk and Highmore got rewarded for it in this last game. I believe they combined for, I want to say 5 points, or 4 or 5 points on the night the other day. Something like that. They were very good. Because we had, so just to give you an idea, there was Hawryluk had the assist on Rathbone's goal, had the lone assist on Rathbone's goal, just, he won a puck battle, he intercepted the puck in the Oilers' end, got a shot away that ended up bouncing right out to Rathbone, and he put it in, so that was a point for them. Then you have Hawryluk coming in and actually scoring a goal, his second of the season, and Matthew Highmore gets an assist on that. And then you go down, and Tyler Graovac gets on the score sheet with a goal of his own unassisted. That whole group looked very good. Like, they're again playing above their heads. They're not supposed to be as good as this. They're very clearly kind of just treading water for the most part, and it's just a matter of, okay, like they say it all the time on the show. Don't be a minus. You don't have to be a huge positive. Just don't be a negative when you're out on the ice. Just create time. All your whole job is just to is sometimes right now for a team that's still very much rebuilding. Oh boy, 7 years. It is to kill time until you can get the top 6 guys out there again. Is to kill time and waste the other team's energy until you can get the big guns back on the ice. And they did more than that on Thursday. They scored. They were an offensive positive for that group. And it has not been often this season in the bottom 6. At all. Like, there have been moments and times, but that game was very much a recipe of the bottom 6 actually doing their job and playing to the best of their ability. And you can't ask for much more than that from this group. And tip of the cap to them. Graovac getting involved, Highmore getting an assist, and Hawryluk 2 points. Hawryluk was great. Again, I've said before that I think Hawryluk is the best of the bottom 6 options they have. As far as, like, could you see him coming back next season and doing something? Yeah, Hawryluk I'd put in that mix, 100%. He's not, again, I don't know if you're going to get much better than you've already gotten out of him, but he's doing all right. He is definitely doing his best. He's doing his best, and he tries hard. The offense hasn't been coming for him, And finally on Thursday it did. It absolutely came for him, and he earned every second of it. So good for Hawryluk and for Graovac as well. Both coming in and having just an awesome night. Especially on a night where, I wouldn't say necessarily the top six wasn't good. Like, I wouldn't say they weren't good. I mean, Brock Besser had a goal, and a really nice goal too. It just, they were clearly getting, the harder lineup, the harder matchups that all night long. There wasn't much they could do. There wasn't as much that they could do on a normal night. But, Höglander and Besser coming through when they can. This was very much a night dominated by the bottom six and the supporting cast pulling their weight as much as they possibly could. And that's fantastic. That's what wins you championships. You win championships based on your bottom six and your role guys coming in to not only do their roles, but to sometimes punch above them. And that's exactly what it takes. You can look at any past champion of the last 20 years in the NHL. You will find, in all of those cases, you'll find teams where their role guys were coming in and having some big night being in the right place at the right time to have that great night. And that's what they got from those guys last night. They got it from Graovac, they got it from Hawryluk, they got it from Highmore, they got it even from Zack MacEwen to a certain degree. Well, Zack MacEwen, I guess, more so Zack MacEwen for just being an absolute thorn in Darnell Nurse's side to the point where he's now suspended and will not play today's game. And I guess we'll just get into that right now. Zack MacEwen getting suspended by the Department of Player Safety for one game for kneeing Darnell Nurse. Now, objectively, before we get into the whole Department of Player Safety conversation we already had on Tuesday, again, because we have to, objectively, yes, what Zack MacEwen did was not okay and warranted a suspension. That's fair. That's totally legitimate. Giving a one game suspension for a guy who, whether or not he actually really hurt Darnell Nurse in that case, he didn't. He very clearly didn't. It was a very cheeky side, I'm going to brush my knee on your face sort of thing. It was very clearly the intention was I'm kneeing you in the face. And yeah, you can't do that. That's a one game suspension for sure. It's just very, very rich to see them do that, to see them hand that out. After a case in which Tom Wilson grabbed Artemi Panarin from behind and body slammed him into the ice, injuring him and putting him out for the rest of the season, and got no suspension. Apparently that's okay. Apparently that's fine. Apparently actually injuring a guy by throwing him and nearly having him hit his head on the ice with no helmet on, that's a potential death you're looking at. Let's not kid ourselves. You could absolutely kill someone doing that. But that's totally okay. But lightly brushing your knee on a guy's head, just to piss them off, that is unacceptable. And it was unequivocally unacceptable. It's like, oh my god, I will never take anything the Department of Player Safety says seriously ever again. Or at least as long as they're in charge of this, as long as this guy is in charge. Definitely not. They don't deserve it, because they don't deserve it. They have no idea what actual hockey play is. And furthered by the fact that in that same game, again, Darnell Nurse and Zack MacEwen have been going at it the entire night. There is one case where Darnell Nurse, in the span of about 2 seconds, cross-checks MacEwen, then punches him, then cross-checks him again, then punches him multiple times, with MacEwen doing nothing and being like, hey, look at this guy, look at what he's doing. And that's okay. Punching and cross-checking a guy with him absolutely doing nothing in return and just letting him do it. That's perfectly okay for him to do, apparently. That's apparently okay for Darnell Nurse to do. And then in that game, they get into a fight, at which point, as Darnell Nurse is clearly losing this fight, he then straight up lifts MacEwen off the ice and does almost an identical version of what Tom Wilson did, and body slams MacEwen to the ice and then starts punching him when he's on the ground. Complete bull garbage move, a total garbage move. Like, you can seriously injure somebody doing that, right? That's completely not okay. Like, that should be a suspension. You can't throw a guy to the ice like that. You can't pick him up and then throw him again with very clearly trying to throw him head first into the ice, trying to put him in the hospital, and then punching him while sitting on top of him and starting to just throw sailing punches at him while he's down. Super not okay. Super BS thing to do. And again, the only person getting a suspension today, and the only person we're talking about today, is Zack MacEwen, because apparently, again, brushing your knee on a guy's head is worse than trying to hurt them, than trying to actually hurt somebody. Because, again, the NHL Department of Player Safety is a colossal joke, and they have no actual care for player safety. It's not about that for them. They don't care about that. All they care about is letting guys who purposely try to injure each other go off easy, because that's what the people who are in charge of the Department of Player Safety used to do. Look it up. They're all lots of the guys in that department are people who got in a lot of fights and took a lot of penalties. It completely makes perfect sense that they don't want to suspend players like that, because that would be admitting that what they did was trash, and that the kind of style of hockey they played was complete garbage. And they never, and in a well-run league, they would never have seen the ice in their entire life. Like, what on earth did George Peros do except for fight? Like, did he act like, I'm pretty sure most people have just as much actual hockey skill as George Peros did, but they never got to play it, because that's not why he's in there. He was just there to fight. That was it. That was the only reason he ever had a chance at the NHL, is because he knew how to fight. He never would have played in a real league, in a proper, well-run league. George Peros doesn't even come close to making the NHL. So, like, yeah, again, it's admitting a problem for them. It's them admitting, hey, I played a garbage style of hockey. I don't want to admit that I had a problem and I played poorly. So I'm not going to suspend anyone who does the same thing that I would have done. That's the Department of Player Safety for you. That's it. You see stuff like the Monday game against the Capitals and the Rangers, and how everybody just starts dropping the gloves and fighting. Again, wow, people being like, that's great TV. It's just the dumbest thing in the world. Like, no. Nobody comes and watches hockey for the fights. This is the thing, right? Like, I want to talk about this very briefly, because again, we already did a whole episode of this on Tuesday. And I feel like the story's important to the Zack MacEwen situation to a degree, and to the whole Department of Player Safety debacle as a whole. So there's the Rangers fight, the Rangers Capitals brawl starts happening, right? And I get a text from a friend of mine. Back in California who does not watch a lot of hockey. He does. He loves sports. Absolutely loves sports. Does watch the Sharks, pays attention. But they're very clearly like number 4 for him, right? Basketball, football, and baseball. Those are all clearly like his top 3. they'll sometimes rotate around between those top 3. But NHL is very clearly and solidified like number 4, right? You get that. That's a lot of them, and that's a lot of Americans. And again, this is why that's important. So after that whole brawl happens, he DMs me on Twitter, and he says to me like, "Yo, this is so cool!" Like, and I'm just like, "Dude, this is embarrassing. Like, this is awful." And he says, and he's like, and he gives me, like the general spiel that a lot of people give you about like hockey and fighting and everything, especially like people who don't like. Who don't watch it, like, all the time, right? They're like, this is really cool. Like, this is awesome. Like, sticking up for yourself. Awesome, right? Like, the same, the usual arguments for fighting. And this is the important part here. I asked him, like, I very much said to him, let me ask you a question. Are you watching this game right now? And he said, no. What's happening? And then I said to him, that's the problem. That's the point. People don't actually go and watch the rest of the game after the fighting stops. They leave. That's why this isn't good for the NHL. What the NHL has done, and the NHL and the Department of Player Safety has done, by putting what they think is entertainment over the actual, giving that more value than the actual safety of their own star players, is they have sent a message to people who wouldn't necessarily watch hockey, without good advertising. They have marketed the sport to those people, to those potential customers, as The only time worth watching hockey is when there's some crazy fight going on. And keep in mind, when fights happen, the clock stops. So in reality, it matters for only 1 second of the actual time on the ice, of the actual ice time, which means that there are 59 minutes and 59 seconds worth of other sports things happening that the NHL has effectively said doesn't matter. That's not interesting. What is interesting is watching people beat each other up in a sport where you do not win based on that. You win based on scoring goals and putting pucks in the net and getting stops from your goaltender. Those are the things that actually matter in hockey. And the NHL is telling you that that's not true. That's effectively what they've done. Like, you cannot tell me that it's a sustainable business model to have people pop in for 5 minutes of one game, maybe every month, or less. Like, how often do we see line brawls in the NHL anymore? I think, in fact, this was the first one since the Canucks Flames one, where Don Tortorella went to the Flames locker room to try to fight Bob Hartley. I think that's the first line brawl. What you're telling... That's not good. That's not a sustainable business model if they're only going to show up for 5 minutes, watch a fight, and then leave. Laugh at it and leave. Somebody made the really good comparison on Twitter that it's like when people slow down on the freeway to see a car accident. Like, that's perfect analogy. That car accident, they're just looking like, whoa, that's crazy. And then they drive off. And they never think about it again. It's out of the minute it's out of their view, they never think about it again, ever. And that's what the NHL has done here. That's what the NHL is teaching people. Is they're teaching people who aren't already hockey fans that the only time to watch hockey is when there's a weird fight, when a crazy fight happens, and that none of the rest of it matters. This is what's fun. This is what's entertaining. Never mind that there are plenty of physical sports that don't have fighting in them. Do you see brawls breaking out in football all the time? No. And they have full-on tackling. Like, don't tell me that fighting is necessary. It's so not. Baseball, sometimes they get like the weird benches clearing brawl, but nothing actually really happens in any of those. It's just a lot of angry people kind of yelling at each other a little bit, or like shoving each other around. Baseball is very clearly far more popular than hockey. Makes a lot more money. It's a much bigger sport. Soccer, biggest sport in the world. How often do you see people actually like fighting on the field? In the stands, that's another thing. That's a completely other story. But on the actual field, how often do you see like a soccer fight breaking out on the actual field between players? Never. Practically never. It just doesn't happen. And yet, again, most popular sport in the entire world, worth billions of dollars. But hockey thinks that it's better than that. Thinks it knows better. It doesn't. The NHL doesn't know better. It just doesn't. And it's frustrating seeing stuff like this where Zack MacEwen gets suspended for one game, and what he did is considered more egregious than putting Artemi Panarin, one of the stars of the game, in the hospital and like out of the NHL for the rest of the season, even if it is only 3 games. That's apparently less of a big deal than a light love tap with your knee. Okay, the system's broken. At the end of the day, the NHL system's broken. They better think about long and hard about why more new people don't come to the sport. Simple as that. Simple as that. You got a whole new broadcast deal coming up next year. You got a whole chance to reinvent yourself as a league. This is your opportunity right here, right now, is to prove that the way that you have started doing things does not work, and it's not going to work with a new audience unless you give them a better product. Specifically, until you market them a better product. Because hockey on its surface is fantastic. It's the best sport in the world, in my opinion. At its best, at its core, when there are just some great scoring games, it's still physical without advertising, say, the fighting parts. There's lots of great things about hockey if you market it well. Right now, and the way that the Department of Player Safety and the referees handle it, it's not there. It could be. It very well could be, but it's not there yet. Enough of that tangent again. I don't have Cody to rein me in here today, so I'm not going to spend any more time on it. But before we close out this episode, we should talk about the playoff race because it is Well, it's not really a race anymore. It's nearly over. There's only a little bit left to go here. There are only two playoff spots left for grabs right now. And right now, obviously, we already talked about the Canucks potentially being the last hope, the last great hope for the playoffs in when it comes to Montreal, when it comes to making the against Montreal. But the other race, of course, there is Nashville going up. There is Nashville holding a slim 2-point lead on the Dallas Stars with 2 games to go. They play. They will play. They will play today, I believe. If I can look up the game sheets really quickly. Yes, they play Carolina today. The Predators play Carolina. If they win, they clinch their spot in the postseason, and that's what they're going for today. Dallas, I don't think, plays again until tomorrow at the earliest, unless I'm looking at the calendar wrong. Nope, I think I got it. But that's not really the important part here, really. That's not really the important part in the Discover Card Central Division. As much as I do want to see Nashville, I wouldn't mind seeing like a Nashville, honestly, Nashville or Dallas. I'm not picky on that one. I am impartial to the Predators because I enjoy I enjoy the market. I enjoy the team. I enjoy a lot of the things that they've done as a franchise to really make hockey in that city more popular. So I am more impartial to Nashville, especially compared to like Dallas. But that's not the important part here. The important part here is that officially, as of yesterday, it is official that in the first round of the playoffs this year, for the first time ever, we will get Battle of Florida. We will get the Battle of Florida between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. And oh my God, I am so excited for this. I think I am more excited for this playoff series than any other. Like, hands down. I don't know if you're in Vancouver, I don't know how much of the Lightning Panthers season series you've watched. And again, this particular year, that's totally fair because every game's been interdivisional. It's been made very clear that not everybody, lots of people are not really paying attention to what's going on in the other divisions just because of how much the games within division matter this year. I totally understand that, which is why it is very much worth your time to pay attention today when the Panthers and Lightning meet, potentially to decide who gets home ice advantage in the postseason. I am very much hoping for Florida. I'm pulling for the Panthers. They're tied at 75 points each. It is going to come down to the wire. When it comes to regulation wins, Tampa has the upper edge. So I believe Florida has to win out. They have to win 2 in a row. They have to win 2 in a row to guarantee that they get home ice. It's going to be chaos. I am so excited. Their season series has been incredible. The Panthers have actually done very well against Tampa during the regular season. They both play a really they're both obviously high scoring teams, but with physicality, and there's some actual hate there for the first time. Honestly, like, this is going to be the best series, not just like for so many reasons. Number one, like the blue Lightning jerseys versus the red Panthers jerseys, amazing jersey matchup. You have Barkov, Huberdeau. Oh my God, I'm missing so many. Why am I blanking on the Panthers? There's so many good players. Ekblad, if he comes back, I think Anthony Duclair. Let's talk about Anthony Duclair. He's been amazing this year. They've been doing so well. Like, that Panthers team is awesome. They're so fun. They're such a fun team. And I want to see them go far. I want to see them go far. I really want a Hurricanes-Panthers second round. That's my ideal second round matchup because I think it would be very, very fun and entertaining. But this one's going to be I don't want to. It's going to be an absolute war. It's just going to be a very, very, very tough series. These are two franchises that have been waiting for a shot at each other in the postseason for 25, 26 years now. A long time. Like, it's crazy to think about how old those franchises actually are at this point, right? Like Tampa's been around since 91, 92 or 92, 93. One of those years. I can't remember exactly which one it is. The Panthers have been around since 93, 94. I do remember that one. That's the same year as Anaheim. And obviously, more importantly, same year as the Canucks went to the Cup Finals. These two franchises have been around a very, very long time, and the fact that they have never met in a playoff series because they have just literally every time they miss each other. Anytime the Panthers have been good, the Lightning weren't, which is the more rare version, is when the Panthers were pretty good, and the Lightning just weren't. Didn't happen often, and when the Lightning were really good, which has been a lot of times, the Panthers haven't been good, which is a lot of times. So the fact that it's literally just been this roller coaster of, oh, they just keep missing each other, like so close to getting that Battle of the Sunshine State every time. This year is it. This is it. It's finally here to see who's going to get it done. As far as the prediction goes, I'm sure we'll do a whole playoff prediction episode before the playoffs actually begin. But I'm going Florida. I absolutely think it's Florida. They're gonna get it done. They're going to exercise a lot of demons, and they're gonna make a good push here. They're gonna make a good push in the postseason this year, I think. Even winning one series is a good push for them. I mean, it's been since '96. They haven't won a playoff series since '96. Awesome, go for it. Let's see what they can do. I really think they've got the horses to go to at least get by the Lightning. I think it would be just great. I think it'd be good for the sport if they won, if they beat Tampa. I think that's great for everybody. I mean, Tampa already won the Cup. They're the defending champions. I think if you can see Florida maybe come out and actually put them out and like upset them, that would be just a phenomenal. That'd be phenomenal for that rivalry and for Florida hockey as a whole. Just to have those two teams go at it and have the Panthers come out on top and actually make it interesting and make it make the battle less lopsided in terms of just the overall franchise arcs. I think that would be great. That'd be huge. And with that in mind, just to give us a quick standings update for everything else going on, Carolina close to clinching they have already clinched the division. They have clinched the Central Division. Awesome for Carolina. Thrilled about that. Obviously, they await either Nashville or Dallas as their playoff opponent. Vegas still has some work to do before they clinch the West Division. Colorado only 4 points behind them. Minnesota only 1 point behind the Avs. Closing in on another Avalanche Wild Series. That would be good. That would be pretty good as well. With Kaprizov making it extra interesting. And St. Louis clinching their ticket to the postseason yesterday. Arizona, I don't know what you're doing. You missed the playoffs. Way to go. I told you should have bought at the trade deadline. I don't know what you're thinking. East Division, Pittsburgh leading the division. Because again, no sense. Nothing makes sense. I don't get it. I thought they were old. And then Jeff Carter goes and scores 4 goals the other night. Was it 4 goals? Insanity. Just nuts. Nothing makes sense anymore. Washington, 3 points behind them in the East Division. Boston just lost today. Just lost right now against the Rangers. So that puts them a little bit farther back from the two leaders as far as games in hand are concerned. And then the Islanders in 4th. Right about where you'd expect. The Islanders are right there. Obviously, the Rangers didn't get anywhere this year. Tough year for everyone in New York. We don't even have time to get into the whole Jeff Gorton, John Davidson thing today. I'm sure we'll do that on the next episode when Cody gets back. And then, of course, here in the Canadian division, it is still just a weird free-for-all. Toronto still hasn't technically cleared the division threshold yet. I'm sure they will do that today when they play, I believe it's Montreal. I believe they have Montreal today. Yes, they do. They will probably clear that today. That'll be it. I think the Canucks can stave off elimination for one more day as long as Montreal and Toronto are playing against each other, because I don't think Montreal has done all that well against the Leafs. But as far as this division is concerned, Edmonton I believe, is already cleared the top two. So they'll be top two in the division, I think, this year, because I think 7 points. Oh, I guess Winnipeg could pass them, but it would take some time. It would take some effort. I don't think so. I think this is probably it for that from that standpoint. Winnipeg's already in the playoffs, obviously. And then you have Montreal clinging on, just desperately clinging on to that final spot in the division. Can they finish it off? Only time will tell. And by next episode, we might have our answer. As far as Vancouver is concerned, just put out your best effort. That's all we ask. And with that in mind, this has been a very short, very but jam-packed, I think, episode of the CreaseCast. Oh, one last thing. You know what? There's one last thing we need to talk about, and that's the fact that Connor McDavid has 96 points. If I have my stats correct here. I do believe they have 96 points. He has 96 points, yes. So he's 96 points in 52 games. He has 4 games left to get to 100. All I ask from the Vancouver Canucks, if there is one goal I have for this team for the final 8 games of the season, 7 games of the season, I guess 8. 8 more games. All I ask, you have 2 more games against Edmonton. Please, oh please, do not be the team that Connor McDavid gives up the 100th point to. That's all I ask. That's all I need from you guys, is to not be the team that is on the highlight reel every damn year for the next decade. Every time it's like, remember when Connor McDavid got 100 points in under 60 games? Because it's going to happen regardless. Just don't be that team that I have to watch the footage of every time it gets played on Hockey Night in Canada, or on ESPN, or TNT, or TSN, what have you. Please let it be like someone else. Just anyone else. That's all I ask. And you know what? You've got the odds are in your favor. Just give him one goal. Give him a point or two tonight. Fine. 98. Leave him there. Do not let him get even close. Do not let him get 99. Don't let him get there, because that's too close. Like that, the second the empty net comes out, you know he's going to try for it. So for 100. So you gotta leave him the space so that he just goes off on whoever's next. Because I don't think it's them, because it's not the Canucks. After this, it's 2 games against Montreal, and you know he's going to get one. He's going to get one. Don't leave it to the end. I believe in you guys. All right. All right, and that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to check out us all on your other podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and etc. If you enjoyed the audio version of the show, we're also on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, punch that bell, so you know when a new episode drops on our YouTube channel. What else is there to talk about? Oh, leave us a like. Leave us a like on the YouTube channel. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. So give us those 5 stars. We really appreciate it. When you do, it really helps us put the show in front of more people. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Lock of the Crease. And you can find my work at lachofthecrease.com, where I do the North Division Power Rankings every single Sunday, as well as some other new stuff that's coming out, not just on lachofthecrease.com, as we round the corner into the final stretch of the season. Also, an article coming out possibly on a certain website called Canucks.com that you should be keeping an eye out for in the next week or two. And Cody is not here today, but he will be back on Tuesday. And in the meantime, you can follow him on Twitter at Cody Sievertson, on Instagram at Comets Harvest, which will probably be getting a rebrand soon, as well as his website that'll be getting rebranded sooner rather than later, cometsharvest.com. Who knows? We'll figure out whenever that Utica team comes in. I'm sure he will have something good coming in. I believe the leading idea, or at least the one he posted on Twitter, was the Farmies, which is, I love that one. Also Canucks Farmy, I like that one. And I liked Quad's response, which was, I will sue you. He's gonna sue Cody for Canucks Farmy, which had me being like, do it. Name it Canucks Farmy. Let's go. Yeah, he'll be back on Tuesday, as will I. Thank you for listening. This has been the CreaseCast. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.